Hello there. Today we're going to be reviewing Noodler's Purple Martin. This is a sample that was given to me by Lady Onogaro on Fountain Pen Geeks. Lovely purple ink. And so let's go ahead. The reason the container is empty, the vial, is because it was a small sample to start with. It was a sample piff, and it was still good enough to fill this cartridge in my Lamy studio and put enough ink in this cartridge. Let me get it open to do a review with and have ink left over. And I've written with both these pens with it, and kind of tried to get an idea of my thoughts on this ink and what it'll do. So let's set our pens aside, this one pen aside, and let's start with a Lamy Studio with a medium nib. Paper is Tomo River, or Tomio, or Tomoe, or however people pronounce it. I just messed that up so bad. Tomo, I would call that Tomo. And the ink, of course, is Noodler's Purple Martin. Now this is a lovely purple ink. This is how I test not only the, if you look, that's dry now, but not only the wetness of a nib, but also the wetness of an ink. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's approximately 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And you see that the ink still has not dried on this paper. What I've learned with the Tomo River paper is that this paper is very, very, very non-absorbent. And I bet you it would take 35 seconds or more for this ink to dry on this paper. So now, if I were to go, this is A4 copy paper, just a generic copy paper. I think it's Hewlett Packard, HP. And I just folded it so it's the same size, just for looks, just for aesthetics. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when people start talking about inks and how much time it takes them to dry, things like that, the caveat is the paper. What's the paper? What are they testing on? What's the deal with that? Now, if I wanted to, I could even go and get If I want to, this is actually really cool. I don't know who makes the notebook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? It's a bit of a smear. If I pressed really hard, I got a smear at it. But within 10 seconds, it's dry here. This is actually, this paper actually doesn't feather as much as I expected it to when you write on it. Made in China, and there's a number there, but it was cheap. And I use it to take notes and stuff to carry around in my pocket. But the point that I'm making is that I may say an ink is really wet because I'm using like the Tomo River paper. Another guy that uses a different type of paper, maybe Rhodia or Clairefontaine. I'm not even talking about the cheap kind of paper like this copy paper here. But another guy, he might say, well, the ink is really dry, because the dry times are different depending on the paper. They're also going to be dependent on nib size. That 1mm stub right there is going to lay down more ink than that medium nib. And there's going to be a difference because of it. So, I mean, I don't see anybody studying or mentioning that in any of the ink reviews. Not very many, anyway. There's a couple I've heard. Or there's one, actually, that I've heard do it. And she does it consistently. Nobody else that I've watched ever does. So, anyway, let's do some quick brown fox. We're going to do the limey medium. Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Now, nice line. Ink flows really well. I don't see any skips or drops. Like I left my G open. That's kind of a thing with me. But that's not the pen's fault or the ink's fault. That's my fault. But when I looked up here, I don't see a lot of shading here, but I can find some shading just a bit in here, around in here. I can find just a tiny bit, but this ink is really homogeneous. There's not a lot of shading, but it puts down a nice even line. Now, let's look at the Schaefer viewpoint with the 1mm stub nib. Now I could try to do, see, I messed that up. I can't use a stub nib or a flex nib the way that they should be used. Let's try that again. Quick round fox jumps over the lazy dog. Alright, so this pen puts down a bit wider line, but the ink seems to be much lighter, in my opinion, coming out of this pen. And I don't see a ton of shading in this as well either. But it's a beautiful pink, or beautiful purple color. It flows really well. I've seen reviews that said that this ink was dry, but like I said, depends on what kind of paper that you're using. In my opinion, it's a really beautiful purple. And that alone, if you like purple inks, would be a reason to check this out. One of the things that I would mention is that when you see reviews online, on YouTube and places, and in the pen forums and stuff like that, one of the things that you should remember, in my opinion, is that they sell samples. My monitor might be different from your monitor. The camera that I record this on might influence, because I don't know, I don't understand, but I got a feeling that the white balance and stuff like that in particular cameras can make a difference in the color of ink, or the color of anything that it records. And so when you see an ink, like an ink review, and you see the color and it looks beautiful, you know, buy a sample and see if it works out for you the way it works out for me or anybody else that's doing these reviews. Look, I'm a new guy, and I'm not trying to come in here and say, you know, I know better than the guys that have been, and gals that have been doing this for years before I came to the thing or whatever. These are just my thoughts, and I really think that samples are your friend, you know. But I mean, that's a beautiful, beautiful purple, and I would be glad to have this in my lineup just because of the shade of purple. It's a lovely, in my opinion, true purple. It's almost a royal purple, and you got to understand that my daughter loves purple. Her walls in her bedroom, we painted purple for her, because that's what she loves, that color, you know. And so I got a bit of experience with purple because it's all around me. My daughter, everything, she's got to have purple everything. And this is a beautiful, beautiful purple. It lays down. Let's look at it on this 20-pound copy, and let's use the stub nib. The quick brown fox. You can already see the line is much bolder on this paper. Jumps over. That's because that Tomo River has no absorption. I mean, zero. Look. I mean, you can see it, but there's no bleed through. There might be a tiny little dot right there from all of these scribbles and stuff that I did on the back. This paper just does not absorb. It doesn't bleed, but it doesn't absorb as well. So I'm not sure, but I may be switching to Clairefontaine or Rhodia, or I may start, or Moleskine. They're selling it at the Target store here. They're selling Moleskine notebooks, or Moleskine, as a lot of people are calling them, at Target, and I may pick up some of them and just see what they're like, because for me, doing reviews, this paper is absolutely excellent, the Tomo River, and I really do love it. But I really want a paper. I don't want a paper that feathers really bad, or you know, really sucks up ink. But I want something that will give me just a little bit of that will give my viewers a little bit of an idea. Let's try the Lamy Studio. See? Do you see the difference in these papers? There's the Lamy on the Tomoe River and on this. I want something that will give my viewers an idea of what the ink is going to look like on papers they're going to use. And an awful lot of people that use fountain pens use something like copy paper. They find a cheap alternative because 80 sheets of Rhodia for $13 and something. I'm sorry, but that's a lot of money for me and other and the Tomoe River and all the other. And look, they're worth it. That's a beautiful paper. But I'm telling you right now, from what I read on the forums and stuff like that, people just use this kind of paper for special, to write letters to somebody, or for, like with me, I'm using it for, I bought it specifically for reviews, and I use other paper for other things because this stuff costs too much to daily write on it. So I want to kind of give my viewers an idea of what these pens are like in the real world, on real world paper that everybody uses every day. So I think the Moleskine might be close to that. I may try that or some Rhodia. I'm pretty sure going to try the Moleskine. And maybe try the Rhodia that everybody likes. But I want some paper that's a bit more, just a bit more absorbent than this Tomoe River, because that don't absorb anything. But I mean, it's a beautiful ink, and if you like purples, it's worth a try to see. Like I said, buy you a sample. It's worth a try to see what you think of it. Alright, God bless you, and I will talk to you again soon. Noodler's Purple Martin. Thank you, Lady Onigaro. Later.